time for the big encounter here at the Esports World Cup 2026 in Paris, France. We have Nihal Sarin representing S8UL. You can see the rocket in front of the computer. And there we have Wei Yi representing Team Nemesis. Both Nihal and Wei Yi lost to very strong opponents in the first match itself. Nihal lost to Arjun Erigaisi, while Wei Yi lost to Alireza Firouzja. So now they are in the lower bracket against each other. If they lose this one, they are out of the tournament. So a very, very important clash and a very tough one at that. The first game begins. Nihal has the white pieces and he opens the game with pawn to d4. Knight to f6, bishop comes out to f4. We have the London system that Nihal Sarin is going for. g6 played by Wei Yi. Knight c3. He goes for the Jobawa London. d5 played to stop e4. e3 played. Knight to b5. Now attacking the c7 pawn. Knight a6 defends it and h3. Making space for the bishop to come back. Black castles. White goes knight to f3. Both players moving quickly in the opening. You can kick the knight away with c6, but he goes knight e4. Now, eyeing the c3 square so that the knight cannot come back there. Bishop e2 played here by Nihal Sarin. c6, pushing the knight. Now, if you play knight c3, maybe this structure is not something that Nihal would like. So, he goes knight a3, preparing c4. Queen b6, hitting the b2 pawn. He defends it with queen c1. And already black's position looks very comfortable. Bishop f5. He should be aiming for the c5 break soon. Castles. And now I believe c5 is a very logical break. He goes rook c8, putting the rook opposite the queen. So if you play the move c4, then c5 is very strong. You see, there's a lot of pressure. So Nihal goes c3, very solid. And Wei Yi says, I don't want the c5 break. I want to try for perhaps the e5 break. So Nihal goes b4, stopping c5. Knight jumps to c7 with the idea of coming to b5. And knight d2, offering a trade of knights. Knight comes here. Now if you take cb5, opens up the rook on the c file. So he goes knight takes e4, bishop e4. And now knight b1 seems logical, I feel. Yes, he plays it. His idea is to play a4, then knight d2. But Wei Yi strikes immediately in the center with pawn to e5. A very good move by Wei Yi. And takes, bishop takes e5, looks logical. Takes, and knight d2 played. It's an equal position. Both sides should be pretty okay with what they've got here. He goes back knight d6, ready to give up his bishop here, which can be taken, but Nihal goes a3. He is aiming for the c4 break. So rook e8, defending the bishop, doubling the rooks. And now you can take here, but you can also push c4. He pushes c4, threatening c5. So I think taking on c4 makes a lot of sense. And here Nihal immediately takes on c4 with the bishop. Now notice if you took with the knight, then this position, black is the one who's better because there's pressure on the king side. So Nihal immediately realizes that giving up the bishop is fine. And now Wei Yi has to decide whether he wants to take this or not. He goes bishop d5, takes, rook takes, and queen comes up to c2. a5, striking on the queen side. Rook b1 takes. You can see Nihal's play in such tournaments or in such time control is very simple. He doesn't try to push too much. He's playing simple chess. He's bringing his knight to d4. He's waiting for his opponents to commit. Now queen takes c4 is possible going into the endgame. And Nihal can do that, but he avoids the queen trade. He sees that some squares are weak here. Something like this could be very dangerous. Knight b5, rook to c1, queen e4 played. And now rook comes to d1, offering a trade of rooks. The rooks can be traded, but he goes knight c7. I like how black's knight is moving everywhere. Rook takes rook, knight takes, and pawn to b5, creating a minority attack. Now, one of the black pawns will become a weakness. You can think of it in any way. You can think it's a weakness, or you can also think of it as a passed pawn. It's a dangerous pawn here. And now Nihal comes back, queen b3, keeping an eye on the e3 square. No sacrifices possible at queen e6. Nihal jumps in with knight to d4. Queen comes to d7, slowly and steadily. White is pushing a bit. Rook d1. Ooh, setting up some deadly discoveries. Queen b7 is a mistake. It's a huge mistake because knight b5, knight d6, and the rook and queen attack d5. Oh, he plays it. Knight to b5 goes rook e5, and now Nihal is winning. The way to win is f4. The knight is hanging, so rook h5, only move g4. And even though this looks dangerous, it's winning for white. You are a piece up. But Nihal misses it. He goes knight d4, allowing Wei Yi to escape. Rook c1, knight d7. Now look at the times on the clock. Nihal has 121, Wei Yi has 132. The rook is attacked, rook goes back. And now Nihal comes in. He's going for the kill here. Rook b1, attacking the b6 pawn. Queen comes out. Can Nihal snatch the pawn? Not really, because rook b7 and you lose the rook here. So he goes knight d4. He's waiting like a tiger on the prowl. Nihal is not jumping in. He's still waiting for the right time to capture his, his prey. Queen d6. And now rook a1. But in doing so, Wei Yi still keeps a 5-second lead on the clock. All these seconds will come in handy when the players come down to last few seconds. Rook b1. Rook to c7. Now can you take the pawn? Not really, because here there is trouble with rook c1 stuff. Knight jumps to g3. King h2. Coming in, attacking the knight. He finds it. If knight h5, g4. But now Nihal seriously low on time. g4 can win the game. Knight is trapped. But no, he takes on b6. Queen e5, f4. Queen goes back. And now knight jumps back. But look at Nihal. 26 seconds. Wei Yi has 35. Rook b6. It's winning now for Nihal once again. There's too much of a pressure here. Queen d3 attacks the rook. Nihal believes in his bullet skills, so he takes his time. He's not rushing it. Rook b7 is the threat to attack here. Rook a3. Queen goes back. And he goes back on the defense, but that's losing. There's a fork. And Nihal shakes his head. But the problem is, he doesn't have time. He has 13 seconds. Queen goes back, attacks the king, wins the knight perhaps. g3, knight e4. Oh my god. King at 7, he takes the knight. And now he's just a piece up, but Nihal is winning. Takes and trades, and oh my god, Wei Yi escapes with a draw. Wow, and Nihal had 5 seconds, and you can see the unhappiness on Nihal's face. He was so close to winning that one. But Wei Yi, what a monster defense by Wei Yi. He just said, I will hang in there and not give you the win. There were many ways to win that. But Nihal Sarin, well, he doesn't miss such chances often. He's so good with few seconds. That's why he's a beast in this format. Take him down to 30 seconds and he most often than not comes up than his opponent. Now Wei Yi has white pieces. Nihal is black. This time, second game begins. 10 plus 0. Nihal goes for the h6 line. Knight to f3. Knight f6. And bishop f4. We have the queen's gambit. Bishop d6. A little bit modern stuff in the queen's gambit. But essentially, the problems for black remain the same. The c8 bishop is passive. You need to find a way to activate it. And I guess Nihal will find the tried and tested methods, which is b6, bb7, or c6, take on c4, go for e5 break. But he goes a6. And whoa, Wei Yi says there's no time to play classical chess here. Oh, I'm going for the attack. Well, if you take here, maybe he wants to win the d5 pawn, also opens up the g file. So Nihal takes his time now. He plays in the center, which I think is a very logical thing to do when your opponent is hitting the flanks. Knight c6, Nihal quickly developing here. But Wei Yi can go for rook g1, h4, g5. He goes for it, rook g1, and Nihal takes a lot of time here and takes on c5. But h4, what is Nihal's idea? Oh, he goes g5 directly. Takes, rook g5 and pressurizing the d5 pawn from this way. Nihal goes back. He's like, I'm ready to give up this pawn in the center because, you know, my knight is jumping in here. a3 stops it. Rook d8, defending it. I like how Nihal is playing this. Rook to d1. And now, can you take on c4? Yes, he takes the pawn. Rook d8. Knight takes d8. And if you take here on the with bishop c4, which you must, I guess, then b5 and bishop b7. Already, black's position looks highly preferable because white's attack is going nowhere and Nihal seems to be getting an edge even in this game. Now the knight is attacked, jumps into e5, knight c6, offering a trade. I believe you must take, bishop takes, and after knight e2, he goes h4 and Nihal can go rook c8, putting pressure here. The king on g8 looks safe. The king on e1 a little bit shaky there. But let's see. It's very complex because Nihal has 2 minutes 50 seconds. Wei Yi has 2 minutes 40 seconds. Rook d8. And knight jumps to e4. Now, taking twice on e4 is possible. The question is, does that keep any edge for black? He's threatening to mate here. So king must run. I mean, there's no other way. You have to run away or come back with your queen. I mean, you could play something else. Queen c7, looking here and here. But queen d6, king f1, good move. Queen h2. I mean, eyeing maybe the h3 square, threatening rook d1. Check, king comes up to e2. And perhaps Nihal here is happy with a repetition. Ooh, Wei Yi is like, oh, I want to play on perhaps. He doesn't want to draw perhaps with white. But Nihal comes into h2 again. And he goes back. Ooh, repetition here. Maybe if they repeat for one more time, it will be a draw and we'll go into an Armageddon. And that is what is happening. Wei Yi, final decision, will he go back to e2 or not? Yes, he does, and a draw here. So we are moving into the final game, the Armageddon game here between Nihal and Wei Yi. There is very little to choose between the two. I do feel that between the two games, it seems that Nihal is the one who's playing better chess than Wei Yi, but not so easy, and now they have to make their bids. In the Armageddon, the one who bids the lowest gets the black pieces, while white gets 10 minutes. Black gets draw odds, which is a big advantage between these two players. You can see both their games ended in draws. So they must be looking to actually bid lower. Nihal has, 728, 728. Is that, maybe that was Nihal's bid, and 709 is Wei Yi's bid. So that means that Wei Yi gets the black pieces and he will be the one who will be okay with the draw. Nihal must win. Look at that face of Nihal Sarin. Clutch. Absolutely clutch for S8 UL. It means a lot. Nihal is their top guy. They don't want him to be out of the tournament. White is on the left. Black is on the right. Armageddon time. Let's go. No increment here as well. Knight f3, knight f6. g3 played. We have the reti, which Nihal likes to play. Nihal is always starting off with a very modest opening, not trying to push too much. Knight c3, provoking d4 move. Do you want to come d4? Bishop g7, now d4 played. Takes, queen takes on d4. Castles played. And rook d1. Putting pressure on the d5 pawn. These are the sidelines which actually can put opponent under a lot of pressure, but Wei Yi is a guy who is working on chess all the time. So he has his sidelines covered. c2 pawn is defended here, but now the queen looks at the f2 pawn. Nihal says, thank you so much for the d pawn. He takes here, and now rook a d8. A logical move here is pawn to e4, but he goes c3, and look at the time difference. Nihal has 7 minutes 45 seconds, and Wei Yi, what a move. Bishop d4, double exclamation, attacking f2, and attacking the bishop. So if you take here, take, and let's say you play a move like e3, then here and e5, black is better. So Nihal decides to go e3, rook d5, ed, and rook d8. He comes back, queen b3. Nihal, by the way, count the pieces, he's pawn up. But on the other hand, e5 gets the pawn back because you can't take, the rook is hanging. Bishop g5, rook d7, and b4 played. So b4, bishop g4 attacking the rook here on d1, f3 played, and now takes, he's attacking the bishop. So he defends it, and bishop goes back, c4 played, a nice move. You have to sacrifice an exchange perhaps, or go rook f5, because if you sacrifice an exchange, you can then take the pawn on c4, but he goes rook e5. That's a big error, because that allows the move b5, and the knight square has been taken away, and Nihal pushes it. Suddenly, Wei Yi is in big trouble. Now, you may think, oh, what's the big deal? Like, for example, I can go knight d8, but then this is hanging. Also, knight d3 is coming to trap the rook. So, maybe you go knight b4. That's what he does. But now bishop d2, the knight is trapped. Unbelievable. There's no square. So rook e1, he sacrifices his rook, takes knight c2, rook goes to a4, defending the c4 pawn. Excellent chess. He goes d3, king comes up to f2, h5 and bishop c3. Nihal is now an exchange up. He should be winning this, but look at the times now. 2 minutes 11 seconds for Nihal, 1 minute 48 seconds for Wei Yi. He goes bishop f5, rook d2, rook to e7, comes in here to try and enter in perhaps at some point on the e file, and Nihal is better here. He is pressing, he is having 2 minutes 2 seconds, 1 minute 36 seconds for Wei Yi, and rook a2 played. He goes king h7, and Nihal Sarin, well, he's thinking here rook b2. Nihal has the ability to wait. That is one of the rare things. Wei Yi also waiting, and now finally rook b1, rook e6, he goes to d1, rook e3, bishop b2, and very quickly Nihal gives back the exchange and starts moving in. His rook comes in, he snatches the a pawn, rook e3, bishop comes in, weaving a mating net, king e8. He goes g4, takes, rook e6, attacking the bishop. Now, many would get a bit ruffled and take the knight, which is fine, but bishop g5. Nihal has 38 seconds, king f3, 41 for Wei Yi. Knight jumps in, bishop comes back, knight c3. This pawn is weak, rook a6, he's attacking here. Nihal, 34 seconds, Wei Yi, some more seconds, then Nihal takes the pawn. I love how Nihal is slowly and steadily playing this. 29 seconds, bishop d4, attacking the knight. Bishop e5 attacks the rook, but check. King moves up. He could take on h4. No, but goes rook e2, king d5, knight f3, attacking the bishop. Bishop f6, but in doing so, Nihal down to 21 seconds. b6. Rook e6 played. And now, can you take on f7? Yes, you can. But he goes bishop d4, takes the pawn here, Nihal goes after this pawn. Pawns are traded, 2 pawns up is Nihal Sarin. Can he convert this in 12 seconds? That's the big question. Rook b7, king f8, g7, king g8, c6, check. King goes up. Look at the speed at which Nihal is playing. King b7, he has 8 seconds, and Wei Yi says, I can't do it. He has 4, he resigns. Nihal Sarin wins. The Armageddon goes to the next game. He's not yet into top 8. He has to beat Duda. But what a big hurdle he has crossed here in Wei Yi. Wei Yi is one of the best players. Could have been in top 8 easily with his strength and the way he plays. But Nihal Sarin, as always, clutch. And what I love about Nihal is that under time pressure, he doesn't get flustered. He doesn't start blundering. He doesn't start making his moves without thought. And that's a very rare skill. He can make 2 seconds look like 20 seconds there. And on the other hand, well, Wei Yi, I must say that he played quite well, but in all the games he was potentially under trouble. So Nihal is the deserving winner here. Both thorough gentlemen come there, shake hands with each other, and they know that they're going to battle against each other in many, many tournaments in the coming years. So there's nothing bad about this loss. Wei Yi gives the key to Nihal Sarin.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and let's head
officially
over to Paris.
the key handed over. And now, for those who are not aware, here at the Esports World Cup, that key that Nihal is walking with officially represents a player's tournament life. That represents a player's tournament life. And right now, Nihal has to crush his opponent's key, our first one of this event. Congratulations. Only needing one more to qualify for the finals, ladies and gentlemen. One more for top 8. Nihal right here. You can press ahead to crush your opponent's key. This is for all events. Yeah, you just press this forward, brother. Yeah, no worries. It's all good. Don't worry. You're safe. Big Hollywood keep you safe. Don't worry about it, Serene. Okay, there's going to be a little bit of a pop. Be covering the ears up, too. Okay, and it's done. And it is officially done. Ladies and gentlemen, right here, this is the highest level of play as Nihal Sarin takes out Wei Yi and only needs one more in order to push his ticket all the way into the top 8. We're going to be right back with even more EWC. Let's send things to the studio.